Finally, to present the Impact Award in Planning, please welcome to the stage Managing Director of Coventry Real Estate Advisors and CHPC Executive Committee member, Richard Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you. At first, you might think that C. Virginia Fields and Robert Ezrapour would be unlikely colleagues to collaborate on the resurgence of Harlem. Virginia, born in Birmingham, Alabama, Robert, born and raised in Tehran, would seem in fact destined to never even have met at all. And probably in any other place other than New York City that would be true. But here, their vision of the restoration of a true gateway to Harlem would come together, starting with Virginia's election as Manhattan Borough President in 1997, and Robert's commitment to making Artemis Construction a company that would be committed not just to the brick and mortar of buildings, but also to add to the vibrancy of Harlem's economy and the quality of life. Virginia has long been a tireless advocate for Harlem, and she refused to accept the abandonment and disinvestment, particularly in Harlem's grand boulevards. I distinctly remember sitting with her shortly after her election as borough president in 1998, and her politely demanding that the agency focus its attention on Frederick Douglass Boulevard. And I remember thinking at the time that probably a couple of projects will get done, but had no idea that the resurgence that took place and the restoration that would occur on Frederick Douglass Boulevard would actually happen. And she worked closely with HPD staff, particularly Ebo Bolton and Susan Ponce, on a plan for the resurgence of Frederick Douglass Boulevard, and it was put into place. That plan would not have been possible without a number of developers, banks, and not-for-profits willing to commit their resources to a shared vision for this important street. Together, they have been responsible for the construction and rehabilitation of over 800 units into high-quality, affordable housing, along with supporting new neighborhood businesses owned and operated by local entrepreneurs. So what began as an unlikely partnership has evolved into a friendship born of a shared vision to improve the quality of life for the people of Harlem and to use their considerable talents to ensure that the work will last for future generations. I am delighted to present CHPC's Impact Award for Excellence in Planning to C. Virginia Fields and Robert Ezrapour of Artemis Construction.
Thank you so much, Richard. As he was saying that, I thought about the many times we were not on the same page, but we ended up together. Thank you so very, very much. On a very, very cold day in January of 1998, standing before a crowded City Hall Plaza, surrounded by government officials and other very thoughtful leaders, in my inaugural address as Manhattan Borough President, I made the following statement. If you build it, they will come. And that statement was based on my vision, my dreams, my hope that had started very early in Harlem in the 1980s when I served as chair of the Community Planning Board 10. And it continued throughout my 8 years as a member of the City Council representing that district. And in 1998, when I became borough president, that jumped to #1 on my priority list for development. So today, Frederick Douglass Boulevard stands as a testament to that statement. You have built, they have come. Frederick Douglass Boulevard is no longer a place of just dilapidated, vacant buildings and vacant lots, but it is, as you saw on the video, a place with new housing, newly developed housing, restaurants, shops, places where people come to live, do business, and socialize. And the redevelopment of Frederick Douglass Boulevard, of course, encouraged development throughout the entire area. So people are still coming. And for that, I am so grateful to have partnered with Ezrapour and Ken of Artemis Construction. They really were wonderful partners, and it's not always that people look to see elected officials liking developers, but I really like them. I truly like them. And we worked together. Yes, as Geraldine said earlier, this ain't easy stuff, as we all know. We were accused for selling out the community, allowing for gentrification. And my response always was, we didn't sell out, we brought in. We brought in taxpayers, we brought in new and restored housing, we made it possible for people who wanted to stay in the community to stay there. So I'm delighted and I'm very happy for this award today. And as I stand here, there are several people who worked on my staff who were extremely key to that process. Barbara Baer was my deputy borough president. Thank you. Angela Cavalucci, my director of land use, who went on to become a member of City Planning Commission. Lee Chong, director of land use. Yasmin Cornelius, director of the Harlem office. Flores Forbes, who may not be here, but was extremely instrumental in helping us do the work, along with my former chief of staff, Luther Smith. So I thank you so much for this recognition. And today, as I serve as president and CEO of the National Black Leadership Commission on AIDS, a nonprofit where our mission is to educate, organize, and mobilize leaders to address and eradicate HIV/AIDS in our lifetime, a 30-year disease today for which there still is no cure. It is my hope that just as you built and they came, as I carry the message out throughout this country about our need to eradicate HIV and AIDS, I hope that as I speak, they will listen, and we will eradicate HIV/AIDS in our lifetime. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Geraldine and CHPC, for this honor. I think I'm speaking for everyone here when I say we're so happy to see Geraldine back to work, full of energy, and I hope and pray we only hear good news going forward. Virginia, we meet again. Ken and I have had the pleasure of crossing paths with C. Virginia Fields many times over the years. I remember her State of the Borough address when she talked about the Frederick Douglass corridor and how it needed to be brought to life. And I remember on many occasions how she literally held our hands, she opened the door for us, she pushed us through. I remember her telling me, Ezrapour, when is this going to happen? And lo and behold, it has happened. And even though we have a lot more work ahead of us, we're extremely proud of what's happened in the Frederick Douglass corridor. Obviously, this didn't just happen with us at Artemis. We had many allies and friends. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ibo Bolton and Susan Ponce de Leon. Ibo had a passion for this block. There's so many hours we spend going up and down these streets saying we need rental, we need condominiums, where is there a place to eat, we need a supermarket. And all of that has come to fruition. And I remember Susan with her unusual style also challenging us, pushing us, browbeating us into making all this happen. And I think they would both be very proud of what's happened in that corridor today. We're fortunate to work with many allies and partners now. I see our good friend Jeff White from New Song Community Church. Jeff and Mark Gornick have been in that community for the past 15 years. They don't get the glory and the attention, but they work side by side and they have a vision, and they're pillars of this community, and we thank you for your support and help. Within our organization, many of you might know, there's 4 partners. There's Ken, Robert, Eitan, and Yoav. We tend to think of ourselves more like brothers and partners, and we're very blessed to have a special bond that makes these challenges look relatively easy. So I'm going to ask my partner, Ken, whom I've had the privilege of knowing and working with for 25 years, and who always shuns publicity and the limelight, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. I apologize, I'm not a public speaker, so it's the first time I'm speaking in public, really. And I never spoke to so many people, really. Thank you very much. I want to thank C. Virginia Field. She was very, very helpful from the very beginning. And Geraldine Perrine, I remember her walking with us on Frederick Douglass Boulevard with the vacant lots, and said, what can you do here? And today, we all can walk in the evenings and enjoy Frederick Douglass Boulevard. As a matter of fact, I'm sure, just like I do, a lot of people come there in the evenings and enjoy dinner in the different restaurants. Robert got to thank a lot of people here, but there are certain people who are not with us anymore, and I want to mention two special people who have passed away, and that's Harvey McLemore and Danny Perez. Harvey McLemore and Danny Perez used to come to Frederick Douglass Boulevard every single day and walk and make sure that what every single developer promised is going to stand by it, both as the work and the people that they hired, et cetera, et cetera. And they are people to be remembered. Other people that I have to remind you of, the chairs of Community Board 10, and these are Stanley Gleaton and Neil Clark, who were very helpful in pushing what happened in that corridor especially. And they held our hands and explained to us what is needed and how we should explain it and how it can be done. And there were other people on Community Board 10 who held our feet to the fire all the time. One of them was Noreen Clark. I don't know if everybody remembers. And the other is Barbara G. Barbara. I remember her voice. Ken, don't just talk, do. And she came to the buildings and she looked and she said, okay, you've done it, you've done all right. She walked the streets and she said, okay, you're acceptable now. And this we appreciate, especially from Barbara G. Barbara. She's not here today, but she's a fine lady. Now, there were other, I can't say they were our partners, but I have to mention we had to get rid of some sleazy landlords, okay? We had to buy them out, and they were helpful. They sold. And the last, and actually I should not say last but not least, but actually last and least, the people who were helpful were the drug pushers who we had to buy block by block. Every time we had to pay them $100. It started at $100 and went up to approximately $500 when we bought the last corner, and we pushed them off. And I'm sure there are some people who remember Frederick Douglass had a drug pusher on every corner. Today there aren't, I can't say there aren't any, but they're not there. We can't see them. Thank you. And do I have more time?
Yeah,
one more minute. And I want to talk about the basic concept of Frederick Douglass and its success. And actually, it's all embedded in diversity, the kind of diversity that we don't always talk about, and that's economic diversity. The people that moved into Frederick Douglass, the buildings especially, were diverse economically, and they could sustain both the buildings and the corridor. And if it hadn't been for this diversity, today we would not have been able to have restaurants like Chocolat charging, I don't know, $40, $50 per meal. Outrageous, but I mean, Jeff here, I'm sure he agrees with me, it's outrageous, but that's how it is. That's how we spend money in the community. People come in, they're ready to live, they're ready to buy $1 million home and to spend money in the community. At the same time, the low-income families who have moved into Frederick Douglass corridor are enjoying doormen, enjoying gyms, and other amenities in the buildings. And of course, when they come out, they don't have to go to a Seatown or Associates, a supermarket, to buy whatever they sell, and no choice. Now they have choices. They go to a good supermarket, and they have choices in the supermarket. Thank you very much. And with that, say goodbye.
Richard, wait, one last thing. I have one more thing to say.
You have more to say?
Now you know why we like Kenny so much. I just have one last thing to say. Obviously, the four of us aren't the ones doing all the hard work. We're very, very fortunate and blessed to have a team of excellent, hardworking, and dedicated professionals within our organization. And many of them are here on table 12 and 13. As I call your name, I'd appreciate if you stand up. Barry, Amnon, Lilach, David, Lorraine, Evan, Ronan, and Bill. You notice we only use first names because we have this cultural aversion to poaching, so that's why you only know the first names. So we just want to salute you. We recognize your hard work. We're very fortunate to have you with us, and we hope we continue to build side by side for many years to come. Thank you.